Hi, I'm Eli Galivi, and today I want to share with you some of the triggers my algorithm produced yesterday. We're going to look at some of the indices. We're going to look at some Magnificent Seven so you can relate to these triggers. But I'm going to start off with Mobileye. Why Mobileye? Because I have a friend who is in Mobileye, got very attached to the stock, and the stock started falling out of bed and to all-time lows. So let's take a look at this for a second, because this is very interesting. So the stock came public in October 2022. Opening price was 26.70, went all the way up almost to like 48 something dollars, and then the stock started falling out of bed, and it broke to 26.70, and the all-time low for the stock, which was right around here at around 24 something dollars. So my friend said, "What am I doing with the stock?" I said, "You got to get out. There's no bottom for this stock." He said, "Could you tell me what your algorithm is telling you the next price is on the stock?" The algorithm spit out one number, 1048. That's the number it gave us. And that number hit yesterday. Okay. So obviously I jumped on that trigger because, from $24 all the way down to zero, there are no prices from the past history. And the algorithm gave us one number, and the number hit on the cent yesterday, 1048. So I jumped in this position. Obviously, we don't know if this is going to be an all-time bottom. Fundamental news always triumphs over a technical analysis. So we're going to keep an eye on this, and obviously we have to do some money management. But this is to give you an idea what this algorithm can do. Let's move on to some other indices and stocks from yesterday, some triggers, interesting triggers that came up. What I showed you in Mobileye was pretty cool because the stock jumped right away to $11 from 1048, but it remains to be seen what's going to happen with it in the long term. I just found it to be bewildering that that's the number the algorithm spit out, and they hit it to the T, and that's where the stock price stopped. Let's move on. Okay, so we're looking at NVIDIA. Yesterday I got a trigger on NVIDIA 107.55. The low of the stock was during day 107.42. So it's a pretty good trigger right there. Why NVIDIA? Because yesterday was all about NVIDIA with the Goldman Sachs Tech Conference. And NVIDIA has been giving me triggers all along. Even on August 5th on the yen carry trade, it gave me a decent trigger. Microsoft, I got a trigger yesterday, 409.95. The low on Microsoft yesterday was 409.58. Okay, that's for a stock that's $400, that's pretty decent. If you even have a decent stop loss, you wouldn't have gotten stopped out. So that's a second. Next one I'm going to show you is Google, because there was the whole thing with Google with the lawsuit, and Google actually broke the low that we had on August 5th. So I found that to be very interesting because there was a low, if you remember back in the day when it tested the 200-day moving average, was somewhere around, I think it was March. So the trigger, I got a really strong trigger. Green is really strong. A 147.06. And 3 days ago, Google hit, it was Friday, I remember, or yeah, we hit 147.22. So it didn't hit the trigger on the dot. You got to realize that these stocks are very volatile. So you got to figure out exactly, the algorithm actually starts buying about an increment, starts buying before and after in order to get the average price, the best average price. So we did get partial fill here on some of this position, but just to give you an idea how close this comes, 147.22 is a low here, and the trigger that was produced was 147.06. Okay, yesterday we came in as close to it on the low of the day, and then we started going up. So this even works for stocks which are with negative fundamental news. It will show you a bottom. It did that for me on August 5th, which I was amazed at in the major indices. Here we're looking at Amazon. So also a few days ago, after hours, we had a trigger at 170.62, and the stock hit a low 170. 23. Okay. There was another support here, 173.16, which was another trigger if it could hold above it. And it did that pre-market, right in the pre-market hour. You could see right to the T. And then there was a trigger yesterday, 176.51. And as you could see, we went down to about 175, I believe it was, 175.73. Okay, 75 cents below the trigger for yesterday. So it's been producing triggers for the last couple of days on Amazon, and it didn't stop out on any of them, even if you're putting in a $1 stop loss. And this works also on the short side, these triggers, not just on the long side. Keep that in mind. Next up, we're looking at Meta. Sorry about the screen. So Meta is a very volatile stock over there. The algorithm works a little differently. It's much wider on the entry points and on the stop losses, takes much smaller positions. The trigger was a 495.14. The stock came to 495.60 was a bottom. I also believe that was a bottom for this month. Okay, so that was really interesting as well. All right, now we're looking at the RSP. RSP is the equal weighted ETF for the S&P 500, and I got a trigger 168.73. The stock went to 168.79. So obviously I didn't get a full fill there, but look how close that is, and that is on an indice. I got some other triggers on the SPY and the Qs, but not like it was on August 5th during the yen carry trade. But this one was a great trigger that came in yesterday to a major area. So I'm going to keep an eye on this also to help me with what's going on with the overall look on the stock market. And these triggers could also help me identify what is going on with the stock market. It works for all the ETFs. I've been trying it on all the ETFs as well. All right, one last one. We're going to look at VRT, very volatile stock. Okay, I got a trigger here. It was during market hours on a few days ago, 4 days ago, which was last week. The trigger was 71.07. This stock has been, up and down. It's one of these AI plays. And 71.07 was the trigger. Vert hit 70.99. So that's like on the dot if you really think about it, considering the volatility in these names. All right. I hope this was informative. You found it to be fascinating as much as I did. I was fascinated with the whole Mobileye, which I thought was pretty interesting for a stock not to have a bottom, not to have any history, and for the algorithm to still come up with a number that it hit on the cent for the low of the day. All right. I wish you all an amazing day. See you next video. Cheers.